All right, everybody. So we'll get going here, and just go ahead and type into the chat if you've got a question, and we'll go from there. And we'll record this as well, so we'll have it available at the end.
All right, hey, just to get started, you know what, we had a real good week, and it was exciting. Even though we didn't play this weekend, I think you know, the guys were excited that the Big Ten did get going, that there were games, they were on TV, and it kind of had that in-season feel. So practices were real good. We went Thursday and Friday. We practiced at night and kind of simulated some games the best we could with you know, limited numbers, with, you know, 2 lines and 4 defensemen basically on each bench. But I think that was good for our guys, kind of stay up a little bit later and train at 7 o'clock at night. So kind of amped ourselves up that way. And we took Saturday off and then skated yesterday to kind of approximate a normal Monday through Thursday. We'll go Sunday through Wednesday. And guys had a lot of jumping. Again, there's, you know, at this time of year, or, you know, different time for the start of the season, there's a lot of excitement in the room. So energy and excitement won't be an issue. Execution's always a thing early in the year. And normally we'd have a green and white game with referees. We're not able to do that this year. We'd have a game with a Canadian college or Canadian university team. Not able to do that this year. So we'll be jumping in cold this Thursday with a bunch of freshmen. And like I said, the energy, enthusiasm will be there. The execution, the sooner that catches up to game speed and the way we want it, the better off we'll be. And, you know, it's an advantage Arizona State has, is, you know, even though they've had the travels and stuff, you know, they do have 2 games under their belt. So we'll try and ramp up the speed as quickly as possible. But, you know, right now we're pretty healthy and pretty excited, and can't wait till Thursday night.
Okay, Nick, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, when it came to, you were mentioning earlier that you did watch the games over the weekend. When it came to watching those games, was there something you saw from Arizona State that gave you kind of an insight as to how they look this year?
Well, you know, haven't played them the last couple of years. You know, teams, their styles don't change an awful lot. So I think we had a pretty good idea. And they, you know what, they ran into, you know, Michigan's got a pretty good team, and early on, skilled offensive teams a lot of times will have the advantage. And I think we saw that over the weekend. So, you know, we tried to watch Arizona State, and, you know, you just focus on them because that's who we've got. But no, they you know, they play, they attack. You know, their goaltending, you know, I know they gave up a lot the one night, but last year, and it's the same guys, they were very good last year. So, you know what, they're going to be what they're going to be, and that's better than probably the results showed this weekend. And that's kind of how we're preparing for it.
One quick follow-up with that. When you talk this week and getting everybody excited, obviously, you know, first game week of the season, what type of things have you seen that still need to improve when it comes to preparing for either this game or just in general that you want to see improve as you guys continue on this season?
Well, you know what, I'll give you the early season coach speak is everything. And I don't, you know, I mean, we don't get away from that over the year, but, you know, as you go on, when you start playing games, then you can really drill down on it. But you know what, with a younger team, I think it's a little bit of the if you're familiar with snooker, the game, a lot of times it's not so much what you make, it's what you leave. And the young guys a lot of times don't have a good understanding of that. When you come up, you know, Jacques Lemaire used to talk about the hardest thing to teach young guys is when to go for it and when not to go for it. And that's that's the art of the game. So that'll probably be an issue. You know what, we'll have some and older guys, younger guys, you know, they won't sense danger quite quick enough, and then it's a turnover, and then you're reading on the backside. So to me, that probably covers the whole 200 feet of the ice. You know, again, just sensing that danger and when to bail out and when not to. So, you know, that'll take some time, but again, sometimes if you're doing things in the right order, you have the right energy, you can overcome some of those. We'll probably have those moments, for the first little bit.
Go ahead, Neil.
Yeah, and you've said that Mitch Lewandowski, you expect him to have a good year this year, and you're counting on guys like Nodler and Mueller. Who do you have them on lines with to start the season, at least at this point?
Yeah, we've had guys split up a little. So with Nodler, we've had Charlie Combs and AJ Hodges in practice, and they've looked real good. And that may or may not stay that way, but we kind of have the older guys and mix some younger guys in, and we think that's looked really good. Christoph Papp is either with Louis or Combs, and we like that, having a scorer on the winger with him. Christoph can really distribute the puck, and then Mueller's been over on the right side there. So those two lines have given us some real good looks. There's some skill there. There's some hockey sense. I'd like to have an old a rule there, just in the forward lines, have two guys that can move, that have some pace and can play and not get too bogged down. So I think we've got that and a little bit of combination. So that's what we've been looking at. We've been, like I said, Charlie and Louis have been kind of flipping around a little bit, but I think we like those two lines right now.
Go ahead, Rico.
Coach, because you haven't had kind of those prep type situations with the Canadian team, university teams, and with the green and white, how much have you leaned on your veterans to pull these young kids along and kind of whip them into shape, maybe a little faster than you normally would?
Yeah, especially, maybe not from a whipping them in shape physically, but mentally, just the intensity. And, we've tried to show the guys some games from last year, some of our, better games that, just real intense. And it's, I don't know if people underestimate the Big Ten, but it's a heck of a conference. And I think you'll hear all the coaches in the conference say, hey, it's a gauntlet. And this year, probably even more so. And adding Arizona State is not, that's not inviting a patsy and, to everybody gets an automatic 4 wins. I mean, that's a team that's, been in the top 10 the last couple of years. So it's going to be a tough one. And I'm not, hey, you're never sure, if guys are ready for the battle till the first shot's fired. So, we'll see. But, our older guys are good about it, and we've got enough of them that we can rely on them. But, we put a lot of faith in our leadership and in our culture, and the guys have done a great job. And, you can tell how the young guys move on and off the ice that the older guys are kind of showing them the way. And I like when we get to enough of those automatics that, hey, this is just the way we do things around here. And I give them all the credit in the world. They've done a great job so far.
Okay, thanks.
Graham, go ahead.
Dan, thanks for doing this. You talked about, just the program in a place where there's these automatics and everything. I'm wondering what things are tangible that you can take from last year that the guys learned about being in the hunt for a while for the Big Ten and for the pairwise standings and all that stuff, and then having it kind of not go their way at the end. Are there things that in the process of building this that you're able to take and hope you see differently this year? Yeah,
I think, and you're right, until you go through it, you never really know. And last year we got to that point where, we talked a lot about, hey, let's be playing meaningful games in February. And we were, and I think one is the experience going through it, and that'll stick with the guys and they'll know it. And the other one is, we hit that bad spell. We got killed with the flu right before one weekend. It really didn't take us out of 4 games. I thought 3 of those 4 we played extremely well. I mean, it was just a gut check. We had a Friday night game where we had Thursday's practice, and we knew we had about 5 or 6 guys that felt good. And Friday afternoon we said, hey, everybody show up at 5, and if you're not throwing up, you're playing. Was kind of how it went. So, we didn't know. But I guess what I mean by that is that you understand that every game is so important, because you never know when something like that's going to happen, and there's never enough of a buffer. And if you take, hey, that game in November, if we'd have won one game in November, then hey, maybe one of those games in February, hey, we lose it, and we've got a little bit there. So you can't lay off that accelerator. And I think that that's a big lesson for guys, is that you got to play, hey, every game like it's your last one, every game like it's the most important game, and get a little bit like, Coach Izzo says in the NCAA tournaments, hey, let's take care of tonight. Let the coaches worry about tomorrow. You guys get us through tonight. And that mentality, and hopefully that's there, where guys just amp it up every night and leave it on the table, and then take care of tomorrow. It's a maturity thing from an individual standpoint, from a team standpoint, and most importantly from a program standpoint. And we should be better for going through that. Guys have a little bit of good taste because we were so close, and a pretty sour taste because we didn't get over that hump.
Go ahead, Kyle.
I didn't. When it comes to goaltending, you saw Arizona State struggle to score against Michigan. Does that mean, like, since you don't have like the scrimmage games to lean on, are you going to kind of rely on Drew and net this weekend? Are you going to like maybe have an open competition because you saw Arizona State kind of had issues?
Well, I tell you, they had issues because Michigan played extremely well defensively, and when they didn't, Strauss-Mann was very good. So, it's always a battle, and we'll see. And certainly, Drew comes in presumptive, but presumptive is just a fancy word for. And I'll just give you the initials, a fancy word for BS. That doesn't matter anything. So we'll see. But he's worked hard. He's looked really good. I'd say he's in the spot right now, but that doesn't mean that, hey, we play the first game with him and the second game with Pierce. So, Pierce has done a really nice job, and he's going to challenge, he's going to push, and we want it to be that way. I want to have a hard decision every week, and Coach Exter obviously weighs in heavily on that, and we'll see where we're at. But do you lean on him? I think you just, again, like I talked about earlier, we'll go game by game and see where it's at. And 2 years ago it was Drew and John split the games. Last year it was John played 90% of the game. So it can go in either way. And I don't think you make those long-term plans and decisions set in stone. I think you know what, I say it a lot, players decide ice time, and those two will.
Neil.
Dan, one of Arizona State's best players is James Sanchez, and he transferred from Michigan to Arizona State. You were familiar with him at the U.S. program, coaching him. What kind of player is he?
Yeah, he's a great young man, I'll tell you that. And his dad used to bring us some great hot sauces from Chicago, so we always appreciated that. But you know what? He can make a lot of plays. He's big. He's rangy. I think he's very deceptive with his speed and his shot. And like he can get to the outside and get pucks on net. And last year, I think they moved him into center, and I think he did really well there. Playing with Johnny Walker, who's another heck of a player. So no, he's, like I said, he's grown as a player, and maybe the move. Obviously, the move was real good for him. I mean, he was. I don't know if he was a Hobie finalist, but I think he was in the mix for that as well. So, had a heck of a year last year. You have to account for him. Like I say, plays hard within the dots. He puts pucks in the net and makes plays. So, no, I've been real happy for him. Like I said, I enjoyed coaching him. Those guys that played for me with the U.S. team. I mean, those guys count as my guys, no matter where they're at. And I love seeing them do well, and look forward to seeing them this weekend.
Thanks.
Graham, go ahead.
Dan, I got to imagine, I don't know how much you've been through a lot of situations with zero crowd at all these venues, and maybe players have coming up at certain places, but what sort of team does it favor and hurt? And have you been able to picture what that's going to be like in terms of energy in a building, and just how that changes the season and who it favors? Yeah, well, I think it'll favor a team that can generate its own excitement. It'll favor the team that has that guys coming on and off the bench, kind of building that, and that can be mentally strong enough not to rely on the crowds one way or the other. So I really haven't gone through something like this. I mean, even in with the U.S. team, we'd had some tournaments overseas where there wasn't a lot of people in the crowd, but hey, we always had a couple thousand. So it'll be different. And watching the NHL games and watching the games this weekend, I think the crowd noise that they pipe in actually makes it all right when you're watching it. You kind of forget about it a little bit, even baseball games, watching those. So hopefully that'll have some music going in the stadium as well, and hopefully you can feed some energy. But I still think it's what we're talking to our guys about, it's going to be a an internally driven thing. And by internally, I mean the team, not just each individual, but, bringing that excitement and, celebrating, whether it's a block shot or a big save or, not just waiting for a goal. Hey, enjoy every little thing. And, we're going to have to do that on our own. So it'll favor a team that's mature enough to figure that out, especially when things aren't going well. I mean, that's when, hey, you have a bad period and you're not coming out to
the crowd cheering and the student checks and getting you going here at home, or visiting crowd booing you, which can be a big thing as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting, and they haven't really gone through it, neither have I, but we'll have to figure it out as we go.
All right, got time for two more. Comp, go ahead.
Hey, Danton, you mentioned earlier it was just nice to watch some hockey games this past weekend. Is this an opportunity for college hockey and Big Ten hockey to gain more sets of eyeballs, because it's the only game in town in some respects and the only game on the continent maybe in some respects also? I don't know if the Big Ten game, if their feeds are going to be picked up by other networks and so forth, but do you have a chance to pick up some I don't know if fans or parents of recruits? Is this an opportunity for college hockey right now in Big Ten hockey?
Well, certainly I hope so. And I think if you look at our schedule, that's the reason why, there's, Thursday, Friday this week is because of Big Ten network. And then going forward, we have a lot of weeknight games as well, with, basketball coming online here pretty soon. Weekends with basketball and football be taken up. But yeah, we have a great opportunity, and our product's really, really good. And we want to get it out to as many people as we can, fans, recruits, just everyone. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, and fortunately, I think a lot of networks are picking up games. We got games in the NHL Network, NBC Sports, Fox Sports North will be covering stuff, and obviously the Big Ten Network. So it's a great situation for us, and hey, visibility is a good thing, and we love our product, and the more we can get it out, the better.
All right, Bailey Johnson from FreshIce.com.
Hey, Danton, you touched on goaltending a little bit earlier. I'm just wondering, with the more compressed schedule this year, do you think it's going to be more important to have two options that you can really rely on?
Well, yeah, especially early, if you look at, 6 games in 12 nights, and analytically, the NHL's done a lot of work on that, and the guys starting back-to-back games, the win ratio is quite a bit different. So, hey, if you do have two options, that's great. I think you're going to see a lot of teams, though, in the shortened year with just, the 28 games, you're going to see a lot of teams probably run with once they find out who their guy is. I would imagine you're going to see that guy an awful lot. There's not a lot of room to, non-conference games to find out how your guys are. And so, the guys will be under the gun. And then when that opportunity comes, that was a nice talk I had one time with Larry Robinson about that. When you're not playing, and I was in a situation where I wasn't playing a lot with New Jersey in the playoffs, like, you've got to be ready, and that's your job. And if you're not, shame on you. And so I think we'll have some guys that are in that situation. And in particular, it could be the goalie. Like I said, I don't know that for sure, but let's say that is a situation, and that's on him to bust his hump during the days of practice leading up to. And when you're called on, hey, that's your time, when you don't let your brothers down, and you're ready and you rise to the occasion. And hey, we've seen that. Lots of times, and I'll go back to the last Big Ten team to win a national championship, which is us, and Jeff Lerg, and Neil could probably give you the history better, but at the beginning of the year, he wasn't the starting goalie, and at the end of the year, he was. So, you know what, those things happen, or you could split every game like we did for 2 years. We won a national championship and lost in the finals, and Norm and Bob played every other game straight through, right from the beginning right to the end. So it takes all different kinds of things, and coaching ends up sometimes being more of an art than a science. And I'm not much of an artist, but hopefully I'll figure something out.
All right, everybody. Thanks. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks,
All
Dan.
right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.